And we are live. Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the live stream for Selling for Creatives. I just want to make sure that everything is running smoothly over here, that everything's coming in. Let me know if you can see me. This is where we're going to get real about how to sell in a way that actually feels good and works. So really, really exciting to be here. And I'm really, really hoping that we could have today be a much more seamless process, at least than this past week. Okay, let's get into it. Hoping that people are joining us here live today on LinkedIn and actually YouTube as well. But let's get things in. A quick heads up. This is going to be interactive. So we are going to be having people join us. We are going to be making sure that we're going to be answering questions, and we never forget. I've had sales calls where people cried. I've had sales calls where um, it really was kind of like a therapy session. And it wasn't because I was prying or asking hard questions, but it was because for the first time, someone actually got it. And that's what it clicked for me. Sales isn't about pushing, it's about safety. If someone doesn't feel safe being honest, they're going to hold back. And when they hold back, you can't sell to what they really need. And this is the whole entire thing. It's not that sales calls are supposed to be about therapy, but they're supposed to be many times, they can often be, I should say, therapeutic. Because when someone feels seen, that's when the real conversation begins. So just checking in over here, making sure. I think that we have a couple of people potentially that are live here. Sound seems to be coming in nicely, at least YouTube and on LinkedIn. I haven't seen any comments come in yet, but I am keeping an eye. So if anybody would like to go ahead and put into the comments what's going on. Okay, it seems like someone is having an audio problem hearing me. Hold on one second. Okay, let me try to fix that audio problem. Hold on one second. Thank you, Eliezer. Okay, I hope that that is better and that you can hear me now. Eliezer, you could let me know whether that is the case or not. But please, if you can hear me better now, please let me know. Okay, Mayma also mentioned that the audio is choppy. So give me a second over here. Let's just see if now that I fixed it. Mayma and Eliezer, could you guys jump in? Let me know if you can hear me better now or if it is the same. And we'll wait a second to see if we get a response. Okay, thank you, Mayma. Okay, so it seems that the audio is now better and we are going to keep it moving. Okay, so when it comes to, let me just get back into this. Okay, great. Thank you, Mayma, for letting me know that the audio is better. Okay, perfect. So jumping back into this. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Yaacov Steinberg. I am a sales coach for creatives. And I've been helping agency owners and solopreneurs land high value clients without having to feel like a salesperson. So when I first started this about 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago now, I saw that creative agency owners and solopreneurs are amazing at what they do, but they struggle with two common issues that a lot of businesses in general struggle with. And that could be one, feast or famine sales. They'll get clients, but it is inconsistent. 1 month they're booked solid, the next they are scrambling for leads, or sales just feels awkward. Right? They don't want to be pushy. Being nice isn't exactly helping them either. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what's happening is not having a clear sales process is holding them back. They are stuck working project to project, relying on word of mouth, and just hoping for the best. And the shift is that creatives I work with aren't just learning how to sell, but they are learning how to position themselves so clients are coming to them. They're mastering sales without feeling salesy, clarifying their offer and their sales process, building real confidence in how they sell so they know who they're talking to, where to find them, what to say, how to say it, all without feeling like they're chasing people. And thank God, I mean, I've been able to work with quite a number of incredible creatives and entrepreneurs, even right here on LinkedIn, such as Chai Fishman, Hoodie Greenberger, Ellie Bosch, just to name a few. Moshe Moskowitz, and agencies and seven-figure business owners have been able to grow by even 50% in just 60 days. $100,000 level businesses have been able to grow by even 150% in 60 to 90 days. And new solopreneurs just starting out have even been able to grow by 200, 240% in as little as 45 days. I always tell people it brings my three passions together of sales, teaching, and helping people, but not necessarily in that order. Now, with that being said, now you know who I am. Let's get into the teaching itself, the 3 sales safety signals. So today we're going to be talking about essentially is emotional safety on a sales call. So it comes in many times that people, when they're trying to bring across a point, they're going to overshare, they're going to overthink. And the whole idea here is that we're trying to go through a sales call without oversharing, without overthinking, and definitely without trying to turn into a fake therapist. And there's a very simple framework that I use. You can use it as well. My clients are using this, and we'll call the sales safety signals for the purposes of this process, but it's going to break down into 3 pieces: permission, pacing, and the last one, is going to be, sorry, having a brain cramp there. Sorry, permission, presence, and pacing. Wow. So for permission, it's going to be where you're setting the tone by asking instead of assuming. So you're not jumping into pitch mode. You're inviting people honestly into the conversation. And essentially the way that that's going to work is you're going to say to people, hey, can I ask you a question? Or if it's okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions to get a sense of where you're at. You can even add if it's something that you're more comfortable by saying. It's totally okay if you're not really sure the answers to these questions. It's just a conversation. We're just getting to know each other and seeing, where this takes us, right? The reason this works is because you're creating space without pressure. They are relaxed and the real answers are able to come out within the process. If you guys have any questions on this specific one, if it's clear, please feel free to drop those in the comments. I do see that we have quite a few people that are live with us right now. I'd love to see if anybody has questions on this specific piece. I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to come back to those questions as we go on. And again, if anybody wants to jump to that hot seat, feel free to let me know now, and I will send you a link to do so. So another piece to this is going to be presence. That's going to be the second P of our process here. It's going to be to actually listen. It's not waiting for your turn to pitch, but it's actually processing, reflecting back on what they say. Stop trying to think about what you're going to say next, and instead, let's focus on what they're actually saying, right? Someone said something to you, you can easily jump in and say, hey, you mentioned that you've tried other designers before. What was frustrating about that? Or maybe you want to say something like, it sounds like you've been burned in the past. Can you tell me more about that? Or would you like to tell me more about that? Again, the reason this works, you're showing them that this isn't a script, it's a real conversation. And ultimately, you are trying to understand. You're trying to get clarity on what is going on in their world, in their life, and in their business. That's going to take us into the third P, which is going to be pacing. Slow down. We're no rush over here. We're not trying to rush to a close. Silence is the enemy. Silence is not the enemy. Silence is not the enemy. It's a tool when used properly. It's when you get rid of silence, when you're concerned and scared of a quote unquote awkward pause. Allow space for the people to think, allow space for yourself to think within the process. And again, you could totally step in these situations and say, hey, it's totally fair if you need time within this process. If you want to walk through what a win would look like when you get to the end of the conversation. It could be that you could say to them, hey, this doesn't have to be a yes or no yet. How about we walk that through together so that we can try to get to a place where you feel comfortable and a better understanding of what's going on here today, right? Show them you're not trying to move them forward into next steps, right? You're meeting them where they're at. You're not trying to push them through on your agenda or where you wish they were at, right? That's an extremely important point. When you lead a call in these three things in mind, it doesn't feel like a pitch. It feels more like a mirror. You are mirroring the way that they are coming across. The more clearly someone sees themselves, the easier it is for them to say yes. Okay. So let's break this down. I want to walk you guys through one of my own recent calls. Again, if anybody, again, there are quite a people that are live with us today. Please feel free to let us know that you are here so that we can have you, being a part of the process, right? I'm really excited to be here live with everybody. And I am definitely excited to be sharing these different things and these different pieces together with you each today. So, okay, now let's jump a little deeper into the story. So I had a call recently. I was speaking to someone, we'll keep names out of it, of course, but let's just say that they run a creative business. And this person had been holding themselves back for years. On the surface, he was booking calls. He came to our call looking for clarity in his offer and on his systems. And really, really quickly, it became clear that the real block was confidence. It had nothing to do with the systems themselves. Yes, obviously that played a part in it, but it had more to do with confidence. So I slowed the process down a little bit. Instead of trying to jump into solutions or anything like that, I was curious, right? Because I easily could have jumped into solutions. Oh, when it comes to confidence, this is how we're going to build that, this is how we're going to do that. And instead, I chose to be curious within the process. I mirrored words back to him to understand what was going on. I asked the kinds of questions that most people in his life probably weren't asking him. And ultimately, at the end of the day, at one point, he even said to me, I don't think I've ever really said this out loud before. And then, went on to say, some pretty important pieces of information for us to go through the process. And the reason was because he felt safe. He felt like he was in a place that he could be honest. He felt that he was in a place that he didn't have to have it all figured out. He didn't have to have his entire business perfect. And in that space, we were able to get to the real problem, which made everything else so much easier. And that's what I mean when I say that sales calls aren't therapy, but they can be therapeutic. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, when someone feels seen, that's when they can finally move forward. They're not going to stay stuck in the place that they have been up until now because they're going through that process of having that empathy, having validation. And I'd like to hear from everyone who's here with us today. Have you ever had a call where you knew that they wanted to say yes? You were with a client, you knew they wanted to say yes, but something emotional was holding them back. You didn't know what it was necessarily, but please let me know in the comments. Just say yes. I've had that experience. Drop it in the chat. Let's unpack it together. You can even say a little bit more of specifics. Happy to bring you up to the hot seat if that's what it takes. But let's see from the audience what is going on in their sales conversations. What's something maybe that you're struggling to say on sales calls? Where do you feel like you start to lose the person within your sales calls? These are just some examples of questions that you could, be answering right now in the Q&A section of this amazing live stream. Really excited to have some people with us here today. But what is the part maybe that always gets awkward for you, right? Drop your situations, drop some words in the chat. I'm helping to rework it live right now. Again, could be we can even have someone come up to a hot seat. We definitely have time for that. If someone wants to jump into a role play real quick, work through a tricky moment, happy to do that, coach you through it. Let's see how that goes. And let's see where people come in today. Amazing. So we do have people that are chiming in. Going to give a minute over here to see what it is that people would like to hear about. If anybody would like to join me up on stage, send them. I will send you a link. Okay, so we have here from Eliezer. Okay, Eliezer Blot. Yes, price was a problem. Okay, so Eliezer, if you would like, I'd love to have you join me up here on stage. Let's walk through that together so that we can work through that problem. I would love to do that together with you. Let me know if that's something that you are interested in, and I will send you a link and we can do this together. Okay. So a lot of times when it comes down to price, again, I do want to get into it a little bit deeper, specifically of what's going on in Eliezer's example over here about price. So let's see if he is interested in potentially joining us here. But a lot of times when it comes down to price, it can get awkward because we're not necessarily comfortable with the price, right? So Eliezer's not able to join us live right now. So instead, I'm going to just walk through this myself. So basically, when it comes down to price, right, a lot of times it can get very, very awkward. Sometimes it could be because we're not necessarily so confident in our price. It could be because the way that we give over the offer or the way that we give over our pricing has made people kind of shy away in the past, and that's having an effect on us. And a lot of times it could even be just the way that we've gone through the call. We don't necessarily have that clarity. So one of the things that I want to point out here is always lean into that last piece that I mentioned over here, which is the pacing. Pacing isn't only slowing down for the people that we're speaking with. Sometimes it's for ourselves as well. If you don't have clarity on an answer that someone gave you, you don't fully understand, please ask them a follow-up question. Clarity is super important to really properly go through the process of being able to help people. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's only when you have clarity that you can actually help somebody. Right. So sometimes we just got to slow down and really make sure that we have clarity. We've revealed the urgencies, what's really going on for the people that we are speaking to truly get an understanding of whether or not we can help them. Now, another piece that I think is, could be play a role in that is getting clarity on how we're going to give over our price, right? Sometimes when people say, price was a problem, again, I don't know if that means specifically in Eliezer's case, whether that was he said the price and they had a problem with it, or if he himself felt like there was an awkward moment within the price. So we'll attack both of them. Okay. So in general, when it comes down to pricing, a lot of times when someone says, to me that they, sometimes get awkward conversations around the pricing, it's because you haven't worked through how exactly you're going to talk about your offer, how exactly you're going to talk about the way that you give down pricing. I don't necessarily think that's the case for Eliezer. I do know him, and I don't believe that's the situation there. But sometimes that could play a role, having that confidence, knowing that you can definitely help them, and knowing exactly how to speak about what it is that you want to give over. But many times it could just be that it gets awkward, or alternatively, when you knew they wanted to say yes, something emotional held them back, and it came down when you said the price. And I'm going to say that that's probably the case for Eliezer in this particular situation. And a lot of times it could be, like we said, there's an emotional piece holding them back. We really got to get into it. An easy fix, because I want to give practical application here, is you can just step in that moment and say, if it's okay with you, John, can I ask you a bit of a maybe uncomfortable question or awkward question, right? Chris Voss talks all the time. When you label something, it diffuses a negative, and when you label a positive, it'll actually maximize it. So in this case, you're labeling the situation. You're letting them know. A lot of times that could come in when you say, I hope this isn't too much of a question for you, too big of a question, too too much for you to be able to handle. All those types of things, you're going to diffuse the situation when you do that. So if it's okay with you, can I ask you maybe what might be an awkward question for you? Sure. It seems like you really want to move forward with this, but it feels like something's holding you back. Would you be okay if the two of us delve into that a little bit? And then maybe we can try to figure out what's going on, because I do believe that I can help you here. But that's only if I understand better what's going on, what might be holding you back. Let me know. What do you think about that? And right there in that moment, again, you're doing everything that we just spoke about, right? You're giving them the permission. You're asking for permission. You are giving them the presence of showing them you are listening. You're seeing even between the lines more than they even said out loud. And you're doing it through pacing. You're not trying to shove them through a close. You're not trying to push them through really hard to get the close, move them forward. You're trying to truly understand what is going on, where are they holding, and what is the process that they need to go through right now in order to really get the help that they need. Okay. I think that hopefully, Eliezer, that helps you in your specific case. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If that is so, please let me know. And I also think, while we're waiting for that, if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to jump in now. We are in the question portion of this live. We're only going to be live for another couple of minutes, but another important piece here, just as we're ending off, before we get potentially another last question, if you want help, turning your own sales calls as they stand now into something that actually connects with people, not just converts, I've got you, right? We're not talking about, coming and working with me. I'm going to be opening up a few clarity call spots specifically for people who are coming to the live, following the content. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be 2 45-minute free coaching calls to go through for people who showed up today or are watching the replay maybe in the next 24 hours, follow the content over the course of the week, and just help them go through their calls, help them to get a better understanding of what we're talking about here today or anything else they might be struggling with. If that's something you're interested in, you can drop the word clarity in the chat, DM it to me after this if you want, if that is safer for you, right? And I will follow up with you. The first 2 people only are going to be able to get that. I can't, give it to everybody. So it's the first 2 people that reach out to me. We're trying to make sure that your next call doesn't end with, I need to think about it. And instead, they have the clarity that they need to be able to really utilize your services. So let's see if we have anything else. So we got another one over here. Eliezer, you are so a part of this game. I really appreciate you. So Eliezer said they might say, I'm not ready to invest that much for this training. So that is a fantastic point that Eliezer brings out. A lot of times when it comes to pricing, people all of a sudden will, come up with this idea. They came into a coaching call knowing that you might very well be charging them for your services, right? Most coaches, they're not doing this for free. They want to help people as much as possible, but at the same time, they do need to be paid. They do need to be able to move people forward. And they might say, I wasn't ready to invest that much for this training. So what do we do in that case scenario? We'll give it an extra couple of minutes here because I really want to go through this one. It's a really good one. You want to go and ask them questions. Again, get clarity. What does that mean? What are they trying to convey? Are they comparing it to something? They're not necessarily saying it's expensive here, but they're saying they weren't ready. That sounds more like it's a budget thing, or they didn't expect it to be that much money. So now we got to delve a little deeper into, if you don't mind me asking, again, we're trying to get clarity here. If you don't mind me asking, what is it that you thought something like this might cost? Or what were you expecting through the process of this call? Right? Again, what we're trying to do is get clarity. We're going deeper with people. We're not trying to push through pacing. We're going slow. We're getting their permission. We're going through a process where we are truly trying to help them. So get clarity. Get clarity on what is going on with them. That is the bottom line. That is what all of this is for. Right? When they will feel that we are listening to them if we do these things in the correct way. So again, ask a follow-up question, try to understand, tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean when you say you're not ready for it? What would you be ready to invest? Again, you also want to go through the process of, before we even talk about objection handling, which we're not even talking about today. The process I'm telling you isn't how I would talk about objections. It's understanding first, what are they even saying? Right? And which is, in essence, the first steps in understanding objection handling is making sure that they feel heard, making sure that they elaborate on what is going on, and then we'll follow the other processes of making sure that that is the only objection, etc. But over here, the first steps, we got to get clarity. We got to understand what's going on with people in order to help them. So that is a fantastic point that Eliezer brings out. A lot of people are going to say, oh, I'm not ready to invest that much into this specific service. Again, lean into it. Ask them a question. I totally get that this is a big investment. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's going on? What are you thinking about right now? What is it that is going through your head? What were you thinking of investing? What did you think coming into this call? Et cetera, et cetera. If there is no other questions or nobody else who wants to join in a hot seat, we are going to end here. This has been absolutely fantastic. It was definitely a much better experience, at least for myself, and it seems for you guys as well. Let me know in the chat that it was a better experience this time around. I am actually using two different softwares here, which I think is a little bit different. I've never really done that before, in order to go through this process and really give as much of a seamless experience for you guys as possible. So I am hoping that this was a better experience. And I appreciate every single one of you joining me on this live today. I plan on doing this, if possible, every single week. We're going to have a little bit of a theme to the content for the week. Newsletters coming out on Monday, and then, different types of content for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, videos, thrown in there, maybe a quote, maybe a carousel, different types of content. And on Thursdays, the plan is to go live, do a little teaching, some question and answer, maybe a hot seat if we have someone who's ready to do it. Again, a lot of people within the creative space and a lot of people who are my clients are more on the introverted side. So I could definitely see how that hot seat idea might be a bit too much, but thank God we had some great questions today. I appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, let's make sure that sales are comfortable and that we are able to sell the way that we need to in order for people to feel comfortable. I'll speak to you guys. Till next time. Take care.